What is popping, guys? You got your coach of the Chim Chargers here for our week 5 GBA match versus Callum, coach of Alola Athletic, and he's actually a pretty good friend of mine. I met him through Duncan Deep. I think I met him when we were doing free-for-alls. A very chill dude. For sure. He brings a team of Crobat, Tyranitar, Aromatisse, Excadrill, Rotom Wash, and Shaman. Kind of pretty much what I expected. I figured that he'd bring T-Tar Drill, Sand, to try to combat my rain. I knew that he'd bring Rotom Wash plus Shaman because those are two Pokemon on his team that are good for sponging water type hits. He also brings Aromatisse, which I kind of figured that he might bring that because it's a pretty good Pokemon to pass wishes and just cleric his entire team up. And he also brought Crobat, which I didn't really expect him to bring too much, but I guess it kind of makes sense because I do have a Virizion. So we're both 3-1 right now, so one of us are going to be copying this L. Pretty exciting. I bring a team that I actually showcased in yesterday's building video, so if you haven't seen that yet, might want to check it out. It gives you some good context of the team in general, so you might not have any questions because I won't really go into too much detail about the sets that I'm bringing other than in the battle. But I figured that my best lead versus Callum's team would probably be Virizion because I feel like he'd have 3 potential leads. He'd either lead off with Crobat and go for U-turn. He'll either lead with Rotom Wash and get that momentum with Volt Switch. He'd also either lead maybe with T-Tar and get up Sand. So I figured that Virizion beats 2 out of 3 of those. I felt that was my best lead overall. And of course, win conditions versus him. Definitely trying to get up Rain later in the game is my game plan overall. In terms of trying to clean up with kabuTops, I feel like I have to weaken stuff like Rotom Wash and Shaman before kabuTops can actually put in a lot of work. So getting up Stealth Rocks at some point in the game is also another goal that I had in mind, as well as I guess also just sort of keeping the pressure with my momentum. I do pack like U-turn, a lot of U-turn and Volt Switch and stuff. And I mean, that's pretty much what I can do there in terms of, I guess the way that I went into this battle, I figured that was just my best sort of overall game plan. Try to clean up late game with kabuTop. So let's see how that goes here. Let's just go ahead and commence the battle, and I'll show you guys what we got. So here we go. Callum is going to be issuing that challenge right. Ooh, look at that pose, not bad. Not a bad pose there. He's going to be sending out his Crobat as a lead. Okay, so he does get, of course, the lead correctly versus me. So I do lead a Virizion here because I don't have anything to hit this with. Plus, he's faster. I definitely want to switch out. So I go here into my Magnificent, my Magnezone. As you can see here, he makes a pretty good play, goes for the U-turn. So nice momentum on his part, knowing that I'd switch out. And he goes here. He goes back, of course, into his Excadrill on my Magnezone. So I figured, you know what, no point in me trying to stay in and try to stunt like I did last week. So I'm going to switch out here into my Pelipper to get up the rain. Of course, you know, I'm able to resist both Steel Stab as well as Ground. So I'm immune to Earthquake, of course, which he does go for. So now what I can do is actually predict him to want to switch out here into something like a Rotom, for instance, which can take Pelipper all day. So I go for the U-turn and get that nice momentum going there. So I can go ahead, U-turn out, and I believe I do go here into my Virizion. So I'm thinking like, all right, let me make some big boy plays right now. Let me make some big plays here so I can impress you guys. So I go to Virizion, right? I expect him to want to switch out into his Crobat. So I make a nice double here, okay, into my Magnezone. So I do expect him to go to Crobat because Crobat is his main answer to Virizion. So he actually does go to Crobat here. Now I make another big play here. Okay, check this out. I expect him to want to go back into Drill because that was his initial answer into Magnezone the first time that he brought it in. So I go for the HP Fighting here. We are analytic boosted HP Fighting. That does more than half. So I know for a fact that this Drill is getting worn down. His main Sand Sweeper, or his only Sand Sweeper, is getting worn down. So he does go to Rotom here as I do switch into my Landorus, trying to, I guess, switch it up because I did go Pelipper the first time. I don't want to be predictable, so I went to Landorus, but he does go Rotom, which is a nice play on his part, or a good switch in. And I actually decide, you know, I'm probably going to be faster than this Rotom because I do see leftovers, so there's no way he's faster than me because I am a fast offensive Landorus. I go for the U-turn here into my tech support, which is my Virizion, right? I feel like I can take any hit from this thing. He goes for the hidden power, so I'm like, okay, maybe if it's HP Ice, I can eat it up really well. It's actually HP Flying, so that does a lot of damage there. That does a good amount of damage. So I decided, you know, I'm going to go ahead and double out here. Pretty much the same that I did before. I'm going to double out back into my Magnezone, which can eat up any hit from Rotom. We are Assault Vest, like I said, so we can eat any special hit from that Rotom Wash. He goes into Shaman here, so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so I don't want to take an Earth Power from this thing, so I am, of course, going to switch out into my Muck, and Muck can eat it up pretty well. Muck is a very bulky Pokemon that can eat up hits. I am also the Figgy Berry set. As you can see, he does go for the Seed Flare. And that actually does a pretty decent amount of damage. I'm not really sure what set he is at this point. I feel like he could be Specs, because I am investing in a lot of Spadef in my muck, so I feel like that was a very offensive Shaman. So he does go here into his Tyrantars. I just go for the knockoff because I want to get rid of any item that he has. But of course, you know, we do get a crit, which doesn't really matter, kind of a useless crit. But he's a Z Crystal, I feel, because there's no item that was knocked out, so he had to have been a Z Crystal. He goes into Crobat as I actually go for the Brick Break here. So very good prediction, or not prediction, but a read on his part to sort of scout for that Brick Break. So I do take some sand damage here, and I figured that my best play was pretty much just to stay in and go for another knockoff here, because Crobat can't really do anything to me. Plus, if he does go for U-turn or after the sand, I can get back to a good amount of health, especially since I do pack the Figgy Berry. So I go for the knockoff here once again on the T-Tar as it does come back in, and I crit it again. Useless crits, but it doesn't really matter too much as I can eat up my Figgy Berry here, get back to a good amount of health. And I decide, you know, he went back into this thing. It's kind of a threat, so I decided to switch out here into my Chimcat, which is my Lando T, just thinking that he might go for an Earthquake. It could be Ground DMZ Earthquake. I'm not really too sure what set he's running, but he actually doubles back out into his Crobat. So I'm like, okay, so he does go to Crobat here. I feel like my best option, since we're Lando versus Crobat right now, it would try to be getting up Rocks. Rocks is going to be super useful. He goes for the Super Fang here, which of course does half damage, half of my HP. I go for the Stealth Rock, so that's pretty nice. He didn't go for the Taunt or anything like that, so I was successfully able to set up my Rocks. It was either going to be him having Defog on Crobat or Rapid Spin on Drill, so he does switch out here, and I'm guessing that maybe he doesn't have Defog on his Crobat, maybe it is just Rapid Spin Drill. So these Rocks are going to be there to stay for now, and he actually goes to T-Tar here. I try to go for the Smackdown, expecting him maybe to go like Rotom or something, or maybe even just stay in so that I can hit it up with an Earthquake. But I go for Smackdown on the T-Tar, then he goes into his Rotom trying to make a play there, expecting me to go for an Earthquake. As what I do is I just go for the U-turn here, hit him up with that nice U-turn and go back. And what I can do now is actually go into my tech support here. And because I've doubled out of Rotom a couple times already, I feel like, I think staying in, I feel like is my best play. I don't want to give him the impression that I'm going to double out each time from Rotom. Like I said, I want to switch up my playing in the game and try to make sure I can, or I guess try to throw him off. He goes into his Shaman this time, so he actually doesn't go to Crobat. Taking Rocks damage though, this is great because of course, like I said in the beginning of this game, my goal was to try to whittle stuff down, especially the Shaman and the Rotom, so my kabuTops can come out later. So I am able to get a crit on the Shaman. I mean, just a useless crit. Doesn't really matter too much. It didn't do much damage anyways. He goes to Aromatisse, I guess expecting the fighting type move. Good play on his part since I did go for that Sacred Sword here. Does a decent amount of damage, so not even a decent amount of damage, but we are able to, I guess, sort of chip things down because the Stealth Rocks plus the Sand plus the damage we're inflicting, it's all going to add up at some point, right? So what I do now is I decide to preserve my Verzion, which of course can be useful later, either for checking Rotom or sacking it off. Either or. So I just go here into my Magnezone. He goes for the Wish here, and there's nothing really he can do to me, but I make a really ballsy play here. Okay, I'm thinking like, okay, what do I gotta do? What do I gotta do so that I can stay in this game, stay on top of the game? He switches out here, trying to Wish back up his Excadrill, and I just go ahead here, make the nice play, go right for the Hidden Power Fighting. On the Aromatisse, I go for the Hidden Power Fighting as he switches out into Drill to try to wish that up. We're able to knock out his Sand Sweeper, so that thing is gone. Magnezone can freely Volt Switch on literally everything now without having to worry about Drill switching in. So he goes for the Volt Switch here. I guess he expects me to be locked in because that damage output is a lot, but of course I am running Analytics, so I don't know if he was able to factor that in. But he goes back to Aromatisse from Rotom, expecting me to be locked into a Hidden Power Fighting. So I go for the Volt Switch here, reveal that I am not locked in, and then I go back into Tech Support, which of course, Tech Support, my Verzion can knock this out from the range that Aromatisse is at with a Leaf Blade, so in that way it's really nice because we're bringing in Verzion, forcing him, I guess, to go into Crobat after this, which is going to take Stealth Rock damage, so we are of course going to be able to knock it out with a Leaf Blade. He does go into his Crobat, so Crobat's going to take that nice 25% from Stealth Rocks, and we are going to switch out of here into our Lando because Lando is just a nice Pokemon to firstly intimidate it, secondly it just, I guess, sort of threatens him. Like Crobat can't really do much. He goes for the U-turn though, so good play on his part once again. I don't even know if U-turn would have killed Verzion, but it might have. But either way, so he does go into his Shaman, and I don't want to take a Seed Flare. I know this thing is definitely probably offensive Shaman, and it's going to be faster than Lendo naturally. Naturally, it does outrun it. So I am going to go here into my Muck, my Slime. Alolan Muck coming back in, and he does go for the Seed Flare once again, trying to knock out Lando. So we are able to, of course, eat this up immaculately. And Shaman is, of course, going to switch out because he does not want to stay in versus Muck. He does go into Crobat. I guess I try to make a play here, expecting him to maybe go T-Tar, set up like just to go back into it at some point. I just go for the Brick Break. Doesn't really work out too well as he's able to heal up a little bit. Doesn't really matter too much, as what I can do is just go for Knockoff. He goes for the Roost here, so he tries to get back some health. Good for him in order for him to preserve Crobat so that he cannot die from rocks each time it switches in. So I just switched out here, expecting him perhaps to want to Roost again because Knockoff's damage output will be a lot less after the item is knocked out, which it was. He just goes for the U-turn, so that's actually not that bad because by him going for the U-turn, he's still like a bit weakened, so Stealth Rocks will be chipping it down even further. He goes back to Shaman. Stealth Rocks are going to be chipping this down, so that's really nice as well. And I am, of course, going to switch out of Magnezone. I go into my Virizion expecting maybe he'll go for like Earth Power or something, but he does pack Hidden Power Fire, so I guess it doesn't really make sense for him to have HP Fire or Hidden Power, HP Fire and Earth Power on the same team. Like he only needed one or the other for Magnezone, and I think he just brought Hidden Power Fire. So I do go here into my Muck as he switches out into his T-Tar. So of course, another good read on his part, I guess, since T-Tar is of course going to be able to eat up Muck's hit, as I do go for the knockoff here. And what's about to happen is pretty interesting actually, because as you'll soon see, right? As you'll soon see, he does decide to stay in. And I'm actually faster than his T-Tar. I don't even know how, but yeah, my Muck was able to outrun his T-Tar, so I'm just able to knock that out with a Brick Break. And yeah, that T-Tar is gone, so that's nice. I guess he might have been like negative speed or something, because he might have had like Ice Beam. But he goes into Crobat here, and I can just go ahead and switch out right back into my Magnezone, my magnificent Magnezone coming through. And Crobat just goes for the Roost here. Literally, he has no Pokemon to take hits anymore. He's got his Crobat, his weakened Rotom, and weakened Shaman left. So at this point in time, we can now just go, well, he's gonna go for the U-turn first of all. We can just click Volt Switch at this point, and whatever he goes into, we are gonna get the favorable switch in, as he does go into Rotom, take some rock damage there, and he's gonna be sacking this off. And now it is about that time. He's got 2 Pokemon left. You know what? It's about that time. So we are now gonna go here and switch that weather up. That T-Tar is gone. And now the rain is there. Here comes the rain, okay? Here comes the rain. So the rain, it is starting to drizzle. We got Strong Jaw on the field here. He goes back into Crobat. So we got these 2 birds flapping their wings on the stage. He goes for the Roost here, as I just go ahead and, you already know what's about to happen. You already know what's about to happen. I go right for that U-turn, okay? I go right for this U-turn. You already know what's about to come out. It's that young Rain Sweeper there. Rain Excadrill coming out. Got the unstoppable kabuTops. And I just go right here for the waterfall. Look at this thing. Oof, coming through, knocking out Crobat in one hit. And last Pokemon that he's got. So we got the Life Orb to make this thing really, really powerful. He brings out his Shaman, and this thing, of course, getting chipped even further. I can just literally hit him up with that nice waterfall. Rain boosted Life Orb waterfall, knock out Shaman, and we do win the game 5-0. Very, very solid match for sure. I mean, he played it to the best of his ability, I felt, because we just had a lot of pressure on our team. We had a ton of pressure on our team, and we were able to come through in the end with the momentum, the rocks, just everything in general. And plus the plays. Like I got a little bit scared. I'm not gonna lie, I got a little bit scared because he was taking the full time per turn. So I was like, man, don't timer stall me, please. But he wasn't trying to do that in the end. That's what he told me. He was just thinking and stuff. But yeah, like I felt that, because of the fact that I didn't want to get timer stalled, I played extremely aggressively. So that's pretty much what I did there, because I wanted to try to get myself in the best position possible. So I made a lot of doubles, I made a lot of predictions, and we came through in the end, and we got to see kabuTops put in work. So it wasn't as if we just won without rain. We got the Rain Sweeper coming in the end, and I felt this match went just the way we commended it, just the way we wanted it to go. So hope you all enjoyed. Of course, Chimp Chargers, we are now 4-1, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Next time we are going to be taking on, I think, Utah Jasmine with the new coach Necrostivo, so hopefully that will go well. And I hope you all enjoyed. Of course, let me know what you guys think. Looking forward to hearing from you all as always. Chimp Chargers coming through, copping another W. GG, it is Emvee, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.